welcome to the second week of the London Property Podcast. My name's Chris Mulry.
I'm Marius Nazare.
And today we are going to be talking about what's been happening this week and the news, a little bit in the news and how that affects property.
Yes. So I came across a very interesting article yesterday. It's data from LonRes, which is kind of a London property database that we all use. And they were suggesting that property under £2 million in prime central London has actually seen a 14% increase in number of transactions compared to this time last year, summer last year. That's quite interesting because the article talks about, well, they put it in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way. It's like, if you've been waiting to sell your home or buy a home, until after Christmas, this news might offer you some kind of, incentive to move. And I think for us, speaking from experience, we definitely have seen an increase in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And that's obviously positive news. It must be noted that property under £2 million has seen this increase. Anything between the 2 million and 5 million bracket has only seen, I think, 12% increase compared to this time last year. And then obviously property over £5 million, I think the increase was like 1 or 2%. So you can tell the difference between the different brackets. But that's excellent news. So if you are looking to sell, you are looking to buy, it is a good time to do so. Yeah.
Following up on the news that we had last week, we talked a little bit about Goldman Sachs and what they thought was going to be happening with the currency. And I think they put the target at 1.3 pounds to the dollar. And this week, on the developments that's been happening in Parliament with Boris Johnson coming back and actually agreeing a Brexit deal and bringing it back to Parliament, Goldman's now sees the chance that the pound is going to strengthen even more against the dollar, so they put the target to 1.35, which is up 0.5, which is good. And they've also dropped the probability of having a no deal from 10% down to 5%, which is down 5%. So the good thing is speculation against the pound is going up, which is good, which means people kind of should be buying pound, put in the money in property. Odds of a no deal, which is down, and also the chance of a second referendum are at 25%. So to regroup and kind of understand what this means, it means there's very little kind of chance that we're going to be leaving with a no deal, which means, okay, we don't have Brexit finalised yet, but worst case scenario, we're going to have some kind of deal or we're going to stay in. So we've seen like a big uptick in kind of buyer inquiries, and the amount of things that we've agreed over the past 7 days has been phenomenal compared to what it has been over the past few months. Yeah. So we've seen that translate relatively quite quickly.
Yeah, definitely a lot of movement, and it does, actually is based on what's happening with Brexit, currency play. So that's very interesting. Going on to that, we've got property of the week, which we recently sold. Funny enough, it's actually the property we mentioned last week as hot listing. So it goes without saying that what we do say is a hot listing of the week. We obviously pick it very carefully. So we sold the property in the Devonport development. It's a modernized 2-bedroom flat, 718 square feet. We had it on the market for a week and a half. We had maybe 6, 7, 8 viewings, 4 offers. And now we're still, although the memorandums have been sent, we're still getting people offering on it, which is quite interesting. It puts us in a great situation, I guess. Yeah. But it's a great property. The lease needs extending. What do you think? I reckon both the buyer and the seller got a good deal. I think it's a very balanced transaction that we did.
Yeah, I think the buyer got a good deal. The seller got an incredible deal, and I'll explain why the seller did get an incredible deal. The seller, I valued this property only to find out that a few months later the seller had agreed privately with somebody who lived locally who owned a hotel, and for less money than I valued it for. Anyway, she thought, you know what, I'm saving a bit of money, I'm not having to pay agency fees, which on this property would amount to somewhere in the region of £15,000-20,000. Anyway, a few months dragged on, the deal fell through. The client then called us and said, look, Marius, Chris, the buyer's fallen through, they've been messing me around, can you kind of have a go and put it on the market? So we put it on the market for closer to what I valued it for, and yeah, we got several offers on the table. You know, we had offers that we could pick and choose with who we wanted to go with. And the thing is, if you agree something privately, it's very difficult for you to ask for, you know, the buyer's bank statements and everything else. But we can fully qualify these people, make sure they're proceedable, get the urgency in there because there's several people on the tail, and the client ends up with a price which is way in excess of our fee. So we're getting a fee, she's getting looked after professionally, she's getting a lot more money, and at the end of the day, you know, we've got somebody who's going to be able to deliver on it. And worst case scenario, if the buyers don't deliver on it, we've got 3 other people we can just kind of chip it onto. So that is the benefit of using an estate agent in this market. We still do add some value, you know?
Yeah, no, I think it goes to that saying we always kind of throw around in the office is, you know, when you go to a barber or a hairdresser's, do you cut your own hair? No, you don't. You want a professional to do it. And it's the same with selling or buying a property. Yes, you know, some people are very savvy and they know exactly what they're doing, but the ultimate point is that we obviously are experts in our field. We know what we can deliver to sellers. And conversely, on the other side, the buyer actually, just as a testimonial as to what, you know, deal we managed to secure for the buyers. Yesterday, she said, oh, we've got other friends, they're from Hong Kong. And she said, we've got other friends and they're also looking to buy London property. And I said, look, great, I'll be happy to help. And just yesterday, a day after, well, over the weekend, a couple of days after agreeing the sale, she sent me contact details of one of her other friends who's also looking to buy. So we already kind of got a referral just from that particular client within the space of 2-3 days. So it goes without saying, we work obviously to achieve the best price for your property if you're a seller, but at the same time, obviously buyers are getting good deals, and it is a buyer's market. That's, you know, there's no denial. So very happy with that, and we will continue to obviously get deals which work for both parties. So
I think what you just said about getting referrals from this particular buyer, she was so happy with the property that she's under offer with us. She said, look,
and the service.
And the service. She's looking for more things similar to that. And also, we know that people from Hong Kong, there's a lot of people from Hong Kong who are kind of coming and registering to buy at the moment. And there's a big appetite for those kind of flats and those kind of people. You know, Marius said, look, I've got you a great deal. Who else can you put me in touch with that are also looking like you? Give me a name of 5 friends that are looking, you know, from the same region, moving over here for the same reasons with what's going on in Hong Kong, looking somewhere to park their money. And within minutes on WhatsApp, you know, 3-4 people sent over to Marius. I mean, that's how it works, you know. So this is what I mean. You can try and sell a property privately yourself, but how are you going to have these questions, get these leads, and unearth these buyers who've got cash? Do you know what I mean? And we're just going to be at your table. Now the only problem that we've got is we need more listings. In a market where the commodity is generally the buyer, we're not bothered about that. We've got plenty of people now who are looking for more listings.
And obviously stock levels, we touched on it last week. There isn't a great amount of amazing property. Brexit isn't probably going to change that. I think research from all the big agencies leads to the same kind of conclusion. So we're probably going to get an increase of buyers coming onto the market because I think there's a lot of money sitting, you know, on the fence. But in terms of property coming onto the market, I still think it'll be very interesting, and the competition will be fierce for properties, for really good deals. We're going to get people outbidding each other, and that creates a very interesting market dynamic given the context of where we are in the property cycle. So a lot of exciting things to look forward. If you are looking to sell your property, you know, cheeky little plug here, but if you are looking to sell your property, we'll be happy to help. Prime Central London, and obviously conversely, if you're looking to buy, Chris and I are here to help. Okay, going on to the third section of our vlog. Oh, we're really efficient today. So we've got your question answered. We didn't really prepare much for this. Let's just throw something out there which we've been going over recently. Can you think of something? So last week we talked about the difference between freehold, share of freehold, and leasehold. What is a very common question which I think some people might be slightly confused that they just don't know the answer to. Kind of linked with leasehold, share, freehold, and freehold. So again, some properties, especially on the High Park estate, if they're on a short lease, it means you're talking about 60 odd years left remaining on the lease. One of the common questions that we get asked is, how much is it going to cost to extend the lease, and what are my options? How does it work? And obviously there are plenty of online calculators out there, and you can put in the current value of the property on the amount of years left on the lease. What is the ground rent? And it gives you an estimate, and that's a good indication, like from a lower scale up to the highest, of what you're going to be paying to extend the lease. And I think another question, which again I got asked actually by the buyers of 96 that we bought, was how long am I going to extend it for? And if you extend it for with Section 42 notice, you're obviously kind of protected by law, and that gives you that security. But it only extends for 90 years. Whereas I think if you go privately and try to get 100, 150 years, you could do that with the freeholder, but you're more exposed, right? So yeah, that's quite an interesting thing to know, because it's better to be protected by Section 42, take the 90 years, and then, I think 90 years is a long time.
The safest way to extend the lease is to do it, like Marius said, inside the Leasehold Enfranchisement Act, Section 42. You're protected by law. The only prerequisite that you kind of need to have, as long as the property is in a livable condition, you have to own it for 2 years. But in most cases, a lot of the properties around here, like you were saying, are 66-year leases on a lot of the Hyde Park estate properties. So our seller will take Devonport, the one that we've just agreed as an example, 66-year lease. That particular purchaser wants to extend the lease straight away. She doesn't want to wait 2 years after she buys it to extend it. So what we can do is we can get the seller's solicitor to serve a notice to the freehold company for a Section 42, and then assign the right onto the incoming purchaser, so it can be done straight away. What that does is it gives you a 90-year lease extension. Don't ask me why, that's just the law. You get 90 years on top of the current existing lease. And also what it does is it drops the ground rent to zero. So if the ground rent's an escalating ground rent, say it's £250 a year and it doubles every 10 years or whatever, at the end of your lease term you've got a very, very high ground rent. So extending the lease is beneficial in two ways. It abolishes the ground rent, and there's no anxiety when you come to sell it to buyers and like, okay, it's a long lease, you'll get the full value for it. So very easy, don't worry about it. But what I would say is, you can either speak to our firm, who is specialists in lease extensions as well. We've got a whole department with surveyors who do lease extensions, or what I was going to say.
Or speak to a third party.
Or speak to a third party. That's why I went out of my mind. I mean, who else would you want to use apart from us?
Fair enough.
Oh, you have to use a good lawyer, and also use good professionals to get it done. Don't, like Marius said earlier, you don't want to do a huge amount of research and try and do the lease extension yourself. Yes, you can get an idea from an online calculator, but don't go into negotiation with a freeholder just from using an online calculator, because if it ever did go to tribunal, you're going to get caught out, because you're going to be going up against a freeholder who's got a good legal team and good surveyors. So don't go to the hairdresser and try and cut your own hair with scissors, because you're going to end up looking.
Very much, very important to use, obviously, professional. Okay, so I think that's pretty covered, and we've touched something which complements in a way what we discussed in vlog number 1. going on to the final section, hot listing of the week. So what deal are we gonna mention this week, and we're gonna sell by next week because it's gonna be a great deal. We've done quite a lot of hot deals sold in the last week, so we still have quite a lot of properties actually. Maybe you want to talk about something around the corner here.
Yeah, so we've got a property in Albion Gate. And Albion Gate is a development that was built in like the early 1800s. It's overlooking Hyde Park. It's got a porter, a lift. Generally, most flats in there are share of freehold, and south-facing views across Hyde Park is very difficult to come by, and this is what this property has. And also the very large lateral family flats. So this particular one is a 4-bedroom, luxurious finish, and you're looking for something else similar to this, you're just not really going to find it. You kind of have to be in Albion Gate, or you have to be in maybe Hampshire House, but there's not many buildings on the north side of the park that are this lateral that have got direct views to the park. So I think this needs to go down as
it's a great deal, and obviously the finishing inside is spectacular.
It's incredible.
We've had offers on it, and I think there's kind of an offer on the property, but we do believe that it's very unique to find something for that kind of price in that kind of condition overlooking the park. It's quite imposing. When you step onto the balcony and you overlook the park, it's a pretty special feeling. You feel like you're Queen of England. Very good property. So we'll be working on that. I think that's pretty much covered this week. Do we have?
Wraps up for this week. So we'll see you.
Stay tuned, and thank you for obviously listening, paying attention, watching, and we will see you next week at vlog number 3. See ya.